Well done. If you like reseller content, board game content, toy content, like, subscribe, comment below. Uh, Had a decent haul this weekend, so just going through it and putting stuff into videos that kind of make sense. So got 3 board games today. We got My Little Everdell. We got a 60s Monopoly. And then we have one I've never actually run into. This is an anniversary edition Monopoly. I think it's also from the 60s. So we're gonna dig into these. We'll start with the middle one here. So I have no intention of selling this as a board game. So not to be a broken record, because I don't know what you guys watch and why you're watching, but in a reseller standpoint, I deal with board games. The 3 kinds of board games you buy: board games that are collectible, board games that are playable, parts for the other 2. So, is Monopoly collectible? Not exactly. It's one of the most largely produced board games of all time. And the board game doesn't really change between iterations. So people don't necessarily collect Monopolies. There are Monopolies people do collect. The standard Monopoly, not so much. However, oh, this is an 85 actually, now that I'm looking at it. It's just terribly faded. So, is it playable? Monopoly's not a hugely playable game. It's popular to an extent, but again, it doesn't change a lot. So it's not a game that people bust out all the time. There are games that are popular with kids that any age can play. Monopoly's not one of those. But parts, absolutely parts for existing games, parts for collections. So my rule is if I can get a Monopoly for $3 or less, I do it. And there's a particular store I go to where every board game is $2. So I have every Monopoly they have. Now, I buy these for parts. So a Monopoly has 5 different parts you can typically sell, that being money, properties, chance, and community chest cards, the pawns, and the hotels and houses. Now, I've been doing this for years, so some of them sell more than others. The money always sells. It's the best seller. The tokens would be next, and then all the others. So, as I gain inventory on these, this board's okay, but it's stained in the middle. Why either. Set it aside, because it's just going to take up space. But as I add inventory of these less popular items, what I do is I change my pricing. And I start to bundle stuff. So recently I've been just taking in a lot of these. And they do move, but I've been taking in a lot. So I started bundling houses and hotels I previously sold separate. Now they're together for the same price. That price is $7. And I'll put up pricing. 3 board games today, $11. And I've been putting chess communities... community chest, chance, and property cards together. And I think I have those for 8, maybe 7. So just trying to move through inventory. And as I add inventory, I can adjust my pricing depending on what I'm selling. If I start selling a whole bunch of $7 ones, I can put it up to $7.50. I can put back to 8. And hold inventory in that way. This will always have some value. Monopoly is never going to disappear. It's probably no point in human history going forward where nobody will have ever heard of this. Outside maybe the 1,000-year mark. I don't know. We're in kind of an odd time. All media exists in perpetuity at this point. So somebody will always own the rights to Monopoly, will always try to use it for something, and it'll probably always have a hook in us societally, that's a word, where it'll always have value and will just exist. With the money, I speculate a lot of people, I sell a lot of money, and people will contact me saying like I need like quantities of the money. And I think it's probably for pranks or for like parties, because Monopoly money, it has like an intrinsic value, I guess. You could use it for other stuff if you needed to. Separating all our money. The money tray has no value itself. And nobody's buying an 85 Monopoly that it's not a collector's item at this point. Maybe if you had one still sealed, I think they go for $30 still sealed. So we have a good chunk of money. So I'm just going to update my listing of money and add a money. I just sort it out, make sure, the ones are the ones that tend to look the worst because they absorb that hand oil and they get yellowed. And just make sure nobody spilled anything on it. So the money drawer is gone. This internal piece is gone. So now we got baggies of parts. We're going to see what we got. Properties. Make sure we got everything. Oh, I don't like that. That's stuck together. Uh-oh. Something melted. Looks like a rubber band was used for something, and it actually melted to the back of the card. So I'm actually just going to throw away this entire stack of cards because I can't sell. It won't sell even complete. So I'm not even going to waste my time with it. I put all my board game leavings in a pile. The kids come in, they make a giant board game out of it, and then I just throw the whole pile away when they're done. So we get a little entertainment out of it. Yeah, it must be one of these rubber bands melted. I don't know. Alright, so I'll hang on to these, see if these are complete. The get out of jail free card tends to go missing in these. Probably, again, for pranks or whatnot. 16 of each, though. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. What are we missing? 3, 4. Okay. Not missing anything. One of them got stuck together. So, add to the pile. Now we have tokens. These changed from game to game. So this one should have 8. And it's an 85. It actually has more. And that's the funny thing is these games are kind of beloved generationally. If you had a tight-knit family, and that family, this might have ended up at the thrift shop because, the family's not together anymore, parents died, they found it, maybe it's not a tradition that carried on. So sometimes people would have an old Monopoly, it would get wrecked, somebody'd spill a drink on it or something, and they'd buy a new one, but they just kind of throw all the pieces in. Have extra hotels, houses. So you kind of end up with weird sets of tokens. And this one actually has, I'll move my camera down here. There we go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So the cannon and the ship don't go in this set. What is this missing? The top hat. This should be these pieces with the top hat, I believe. The horse looks out of place, but honestly, I deal with so many of these, I forget what the original lineup is supposed to be. The thimble, that goes missing sometimes. Yeah, but yeah, the top hats definitely should be here. So I think this is the original set. These were actually ones that were taken out from later sets. It used to be it was a 10-set series, then it became an 8 as families became smaller, or maybe game nights weren't as prolific. So now I have 9 tokens. So I'm gonna possibly make a completely different listing with 9 tokens. But those will sell eventually. people collect the tokens themselves. I've sold a lot of odd game tokens. You have one die, which has no value. And then I'm looking for 12 hotels and 35 houses. Or 32 houses, sorry. 4, 6, 8. And oftentimes you have an extra hotel. It says 12. It always says 12, but you get a bonus hotel. And sometimes you get 35 houses. It should be 32. So again, I just changed the amount of these I have for sale. And I just throw all the hotels and houses in a big bag. And just dole them out as I go. Not a huge seller, but people do pick them up. I think for like dioramas and stuff, maybe people use them, or I do sell like the Game of Life. Those houses, people will buy them because they work well in models. Yeah, for $2, I definitely get my money back. On just the money itself, and everything else is gravy. If I sold this by itself, when you consider shipping, I might only pocket $5 off the whole game, which I already paid $2 for it. So the shipping really kills you on stuff. 25. We're at 34 houses. What we ended up. We got 2 extra houses, 1 extra hotel. And that's what we got. So, let's look at... So, 3 for the money. That's extra. 4. There. Once this is all sold, that's pretty much where I'll be at. All right, we'll look at the other Monopoly, which is a little different. So, we got another Monopoly. And this one's one I've never run into in the wild, and it's kind of funny for reasons we'll get into. So this is Monopoly Anniversary Edition. I'm guessing it's going to be like a 30-year anniversary. So it said 74, so a 40-year anniversary. So here's the funny part. The thing that makes it an anniversary edition is they've added some crazy stuff, such as a banker's tray, which I just threw away from the one that they put out 9 years later. 2 additional tokens, which were ones they took out in previous iterations. A deed card holder, which is actually an innovation, and 2 full sets of money. So I paid $3 for this because I figured I'd get 2 full sets of money. Now, I got them from the same store, and I'm wondering if the tokens that were in the other box that didn't belong actually belong to this one. So we're going to treat this a little better than I normally would. Well, I'm looking, and I don't think it even has... Oh, they're there. So why don't we look at the pricing first? I'm going to determine... I'm going to more than likely part this out, but I'm kind of curious. Monopoly Anniversary Edition 1974. 214. $20. So if I part this out, I'm looking at about 18, I believe. No, I have to hold on to it. So right now I'm looking at it. The box is in good shape. Not amazing, but this is basically what game board boxes looked like back in the day. Like the grainy photography. You know, it has some scuffing, but like the corners are all good. It's got a little tape on it. But overall, that's a collectible box. If you look at the pictures here, they're all basically the same. And that's what people are asking. So, 214. I don't know if this one is collectible. I kind of doubt it. 12. So that answers our question. I'm not going to bother trying to preserve this and list it as something. This one is sealed, and he got almost $40 for it, shipping included. So yeah, nobody's looking for this. But the parts are parts. Really doesn't matter. So now that we got that out of the way, I don't have to treat it with kid gloves. We got instructions. I never keep those. The board is different. It has a yellow border. That's interesting. So we'll actually go back here and see if the board itself has value. So here's people trying to sell the board, because traditionally they have a blue border. But again, do people buy them? No. One sold. So again, okay. We got the card wheel. That is interesting. We're going to be looking that up in a little bit because that's something different. And that's probably going to have value because that was not done again until the Deluxe Anniversary Edition, which came out, I want to say like another 20 years after this, maybe. I don't have one. I buy a lot of them because they have extra stuff. All right, so we have this rotating. It only kind of rotates. Yeah, this was perfectly flat. There we go. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. That's something unique just to this game. These inserts are gold. But that'd be a nightmare to ship. And again, we got hotels, houses, we got money. Let's see if I can get this out. Got a couple rogue houses here. And we're just going to do this again. And make sure everything looks good. So this is a double set of money, which is going to be a little complicated. So I'm just going to have to pile it up, split it, and get my 2 stacks of money, provided it all looks good. Which actually looks very nice. I don't know why you need double money. I don't recall ever running out of money playing the game. Could happen. I mean, you can make... the fun thing is doing this. Sometimes you run into, like, house rules. People will make new properties or different fees, whatever. Playing how they want. So maybe just to make it feel different, you can change the pricing on stuff. And then you need more money. It's all in really good shape. Some of this is slotted in a way I don't think it was ever even handled. It might have been that, this came from the same house as the last one, and the family just, got it, and then just kept playing with the other one. Because that was the one they always use. Like, this stack of 10s is huge. Look really good. And the white ones are not yellowed. They're fine. So that's a good chunk of money. So I'll split that up in a little bit. I'll keep it separated. We got our property cards. All right, let's see if these are complete. 2 railroads. That. It's going by memory. There you all know what properties are what in this game. Yeah, we're good. So we got all our properties, which I'll combine with the community chest cards. And even if I'm missing one from that last set, I have plenty anyways, for being honest. I may move my price point down on it because I just added another one. My rule is if I have 5 of something, I reduce the price by $1, because if I have 5 of something, it's something I'm selling for $8. So I drop it down to 7. And then I start combining stuff after that, if I have to. This all looks good. Dice. Kids love dice. They lose them. I don't know where they go. But again, I just let them play with this stuff for kind of an afternoon. One of them's napping right now. He'll get up. I'll tell the other one it's here. They'll make up some kind of crazy game. Roll the pieces. And I'll toss it out when they go to bed. Okay, so we have... There's the top hat. We're missing previously. This is just going to end up being the standard 10 set from the game from 9 years before. If it's all here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Standard 10 set. Houses and hotels look pretty light, though. Now, I have an overage on these because I only list the amount that it's supposed to have, which is $12.32. So anytime I have extras, I just keep them, and then if I'm a little short, I would be okay. We're talking about selling these, the hotels houses. I think I sell one set of those every 2 months. They're not really movers. But it's all gravy. I've already paid for the game if I sell one single thing. That's where you really make your money. These smaller items. And it's funny, like, I do these videos, and now I think about it more. I'll do these videos, and in the video will say, you know, that's probably never going to sell. And then, lo and behold, I remember, like, talking shit about my own stuff, and it goes. I sold a Batman thing I reluctantly even listed a couple weeks ago. And, yeah, that just sold today. I packed that up for Monday. And that was something that I typically would have just pitched in the trash, but instead it made me $3. This might not be light. I just was trying to like that. So we got 25. Oh, it's 34 again. Okay. 2 extra, 1 hotel. Yeah, so this is going to be the same as the other setup, except I do have my property bundle, unlike the last one, and I have bonus money. So that's going to be about here now. And now we're getting to the one that's actually kind of exciting. This one I'm excited about. So, again, talking about board games, collectible, playable, parts for each. So one of the things with collectible games and playable games, Kickstarter really changed the board game world. And you can kind of tell if a game is a major release or something from a Kickstarter by the box. It'll have a texture a lot of times. This one actually is not the usual, like, I don't want to say grainy, but almost like fabric texture. This one has, it's going to be hard to catch. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, there we go. It's like two-toned. Some parts of it have this glossiness where the other ones are more matte. And for some reason, if somebody's name is on it, as like the creator of the game, it's going to be worth something, I think, because they pushed their idea. I'm guessing this is a Kickstarter game. I actually don't know anything about it. But, you know, small company. Looks like a cutesy, like, card game. It has some wooden figures. It goes for a good chunk of money if complete. So we'll get to that in a bit, but my struggle here is I'm going to have to get all of this tape off. And I paid $6 for this one. That's why we got that 11 up there. I did realize after I pause the video. I didn't include the value of the card holder, which I listed for 8. But I decided that the property cards probably aren't going to sell. I'm now sitting on 6 sets of property and community service, or I keep trying to say community service, community chest and chance cards. I swear I haven't been to jail. The store, if you saw the broadsides and boarding parties one, at this store, the guy tapes the games around the edge. And I wish he wouldn't, because this is a disaster trying to get this off. I first have to figure out which direction he taped from and try to find a starting point. I don't know how well this tape is going to come off, because this material on the box is kind of different. So, alright, I got a corner started, and I may pause this because this is not exactly engrossing. But again, I don't know who's tuning in for what reason. If you have to remove tape from a board game, you very gently pull it against itself. Get my hand out of the way, like so. And you can use this soldering motion and just go real slow. And when you get like a long tail, just ignore it or cut it off. Make sure your fingers are always near. And you get used to the sound of it. And if you start hearing a paper tear, stop immediately and go from another angle. If you tore it, you already tore it. But if you force it, you're going to have damage. If you go the other way, you might just have a blemish. This is actually coming off very easily. But if I see the guy at the store, I'm just going to ask him, for like the sake of people buying these, please don't do this. Just 2 pieces of tape is fine. Now, I understand the issue is theft. People, the other day, actually, I went in and I saw a Pac-Man board game. The board game itself isn't hugely valuable, but it has a mechanical Pac-Man in it, and it has the ghosts. And the Pac-Man itself actually sells for basically as much as the game. And I looked at it, and I picked it up, and it was real loose. And I looked, and the tape was broken. Like, there's no way the Pac-Man's still in here. Somebody stole Pac-Man out of this. Why people think that's okay, I don't know. But it happens. Alright, so I got this tail, and I'm going to cut this off for safety's sake. Because if I'm rotating this box and this gets wrapped around and re-sticks somewhere, I may not as easily get it off. So as I go, I just kind of trim off my tape. And I'll just pause this and take care of this off camera. Get all the tape off without a hitch. This box is really nice. I like the picture. Imagery is really cool. I don't know what this game is exactly. It says something about kindergarten. And there's Mario in here. I don't know what this is now. Okay. I'm going to dump all the pieces into the top. Think of a place to put them. I can go off the back here and kind of figure out what we got. Perfect for kids and families. So this is a happy birthday crown. So obviously some kid got this for his birthday. We don't have a year on it, but happy birthday, whoever you are. I hope it was a good one. The game came out in 2022, so it had to have been recent. That's not good. Ugh. I have a damaged piece. Now, there were parts for sale for this, so I'm not doomed. That just obviously did me a hurtin' here. I don't know if this is supposed to be in here. I don't have the board. If that's the That's something I need. Yeah, game board. Well, so we are parting this out. That's a given at this point. Game board 4 home boards, which I would kind of think would be these, but I don't know. Custom resource dice. So we got, let's see, move my camera a little bit. That's sad. And I mean, as a parent, I can identify with this, that the kid got it, probably didn't take very good care of it, and they ended up just tossing it because it's missing so many pieces. Like this is, I don't know what this goes to. Oh, okay, this is like a crate. So we'll see if we can still assemble a crate. We got wood. But I think there's quite a few pieces here, and that's going to be where the value is. Because the parts had a pretty good value. Not as much as the game itself. The game itself, now that we know we cannot sell it as the game itself at this point, was going for $50. Now that's the thing with these like Kickstarter small game releases, is that it's a finite amount. They're not going to do this again. Or more than likely they're not. They would be more apt to do expansions, and it means that supply and demand, a very finite supply. Whoever put money in to get this made got one. If it happens to be something that's popular down the road for, because people enjoy playing it or whatever other reason. Yeah, so I'm missing pegs. I have a whole one here. This is missing. And I'm guessing these all have pegs and they slot it in a certain way. I'm guessing that's a floor piece. That's that. Ugh. I'll have to figure out what all these mean. I'll probably stack these up because I really don't know. And then I have to make the determination, do I sell it as all the parts in one thing? Do I sell it as, like, I saw the tokens were for sale, I saw the dice. And that's the thing, if you have a game like this, this is not a die you can reimagine, basically. You can't use a D6. So if you lose the die, you lost the game. And it's cheaper to buy the die than it is to replace the entire game. And that's why I do parts, as well as full board games when they're not ripped in half and have the board in them. And, in the store, obviously it's taped up that much. There's not a lot I can do. So I move the board, I move it around. I'd see if it sounds like, there's something in it, basically. Does it sound like there's pieces moving? Yeah, okay. If you move it, there's a Lego board game series, and I'll move it and be like, I don't hear anything even moving in here. That means they took the Legos, put them in their Lego box, because, what kid doesn't have a Lego box? And then sent the rest of the game off, and this is effectively worthless. This doesn't look like it belongs in here. I'm just going to set it aside. There's nothing on the back. Art style's all wrong. Like this is part of the birthday party. Sort all this out. Hopefully, so worst case scenario, we'll talk that. Worst case scenario is I'm missing chunks of everything. I'm missing 3 or 4 cards. Obviously I'm missing crates, missing a couple tokens, and then I just have to sell it as a bag o' parts. And it doesn't, I have done that in the past, and they have sold in the past, because people are looking to replace, one particular thing. But they're not an easy sell, because chances are you'd have to be a reseller to really get into that, to resell the parts you didn't need to replace something that would complete your game. That's kind of a long-term board game reseller thing, which I don't want to be, honestly, is you bring in stuff to complete games to sell. I did that for a long time, and I ended up with 120 board games in various states of completion. And it was just overwhelming my work area. It was really difficult to find things. If you had a space where that makes sense and you want to do that, then absolutely. Down the road when I retire, and becomes my full-time vocation, I might do that again, or I might not, because it would require a lot of space. The long-term goal is to get a big, like, two-car garage with space to move this whole operation out there rather than being in my gaming room. And then I could do more. I'll have more space to really expand out and do different things. We had like sun and a moon, water. That's a ways away though. I've got it's 21 years left till I can collect full pension once I can actually retire. We are missing a lot of parts. So looks like I needed 3 of each of these wooden figures, and I don't have 3 of any. I have 2 dice. It's in rough shape. This is unfortunate. So I'm going to have to sell this as just a bunch of parts unless I have all the cards. And then I might do all the cards and then all the other stuff. But we got to figure out what we got first. I'm not going to get nearly as much out of this as I thought. I did overpay. If I knew that it was going to be not at all complete, obviously I wouldn't have spent $6 on it, but you don't know. And thrift stores have return policies. I personally will not use them. Not that I individually make or break any thrift store. I help them most assuredly by spending money, but if I start returning stuff and I'm cutting into their profitability and they go out of business, I screwed myself at that point. So they paid nothing for it. I roll the dice that it's going to be something I can flip, and if it's not, it's not. Of all the things that you deal with on reselling, as far as getting scammed or losing stuff shipping, it's just another piece of that. All right, this is what we have. These are clearly not. These are just cards that were in there. So from their birthday party. All right. Rule book, we don't have. Game board, we don't have. 4 home boards, we got 2. 1 broken in half. I'll just get rid of that. 2 home boards. 4 custom resource dice, we have 2. 1 8-sided die, we ain't got it. 12 meeples, we got 4. 59 cards. So I sorted these in a particular way. Without the rule book, I don't know what any of these are. And then there's a bonus expansion of other stuff. Berries, twigs, resin. So that's a twig. I'd call that resin berries. But this actually looks like the berries were rounded and the resin was a model. Like the wood is a model. With crates. 4 supply crates, 4 cards. Promo cards. Alright. So some of these might be promos. I really Have not a clue. I'll count these cards real quick and see if we're anywhere near 59. $20, $30, $38, $39. We got 10 and 10. That would make sense. Nope. We got 7. And another 7. This doesn't really correspond to anything, unfortunately. Okay. We got these things, which are not actually listed as anything. Might be under the various tokens. It looks like there is 4 of each in that picture. But, okay, so they're numbered. So this is probably going to end up just being a bag of parts for this game. Did your kid lose parts to this game? Do I happen to have those parts? If so, let's make a deal. I'm never going to be able to figure this out without the instruction manual, I don't think. So I'm missing one of those. I am missing so much. Wow. I almost had the full set of that, but I'm missing one. Not a clue on these tokens. And it looks like I have enough. I got 4 bottoms. So this must slot in like so, and like so. Or it doesn't. It kind of does. So the crate slots in. Now the fact is, because this sells for $50 complete, I may just be able to move this bag of parts. I'll at least get back what I put into it. I'm not going to lose anything. It's not that it has no value. Somebody's probably sitting on just a much better example of this game than I am. Yeah, so that's our crate that we make. But I don't get enough to make any more. Now that we've established that I got my sun and my moon, so let's look at this game as far as what we can get for these parts. Little Everdell. 61. Yeah, and they're going for like around $50 on average. And they are selling. So are there parts? And the thing is, if nobody's selling parts, my parts should go pretty quick. I've done this before with a game, what was it? Okami or something. It was a Japanese game and there were no parts for sale. I listed all the parts I had for a decent amount of money and they were gone pretty quick. All right, so sold, we had 7 out of like 30 for sale, but no parts. So, and this goes to another game that's just called Everdell. I don't know if it says something about an expansion, but not knowing how the game works, I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, we're kind of stuck here. So then we come down to what is the value of all these parts? And I don't have a good answer. If people are buying the game for $40 to $50, I could argue 15. If you have the whole game and you can't quite sell it because it's not complete, would you buy everything in this for 15? You could then turn around and resell it if you just needed a few bits and bobs. I'll probably just end up doing 12 because it's going to be kind of weighty. What I have, $12. That's where we end up. Not a great day, not a terrible day. Obviously, I rolled the dice on this. It could have been a lot better. You know, $50 board games are quite handy, but that's how it is, right? So if you like board games, you like reselling, you like toys, give a like, subscribe, comment below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.